everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll give it another minute or two before we get started. So thank you for joining.
A lot of folks. Oh no.
Hi, everyone. So just to do a brief introduction, Dr. Jam is here with us today to discuss a little bit about scholarships on our campus. And Giselle, our chapter advisor, will also be touching on some Alpha Lambda Delta specific scholarships. So thank you guys, and I hope you give your full attention to Dr. Jam. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you so much, Chloe. Looks like I've wow, we got a lot of folks tuning in today. Just a quick refresher. Did you just kind of want me to go over the sort of basics of awards and then turn it over to our second speaker?
Yes, that's good. Whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
When it comes to scholarships.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, awesome. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Jam. I teach here in the history department, but I'm also the interim director of awards and fellowships. And as I'll talk about in a minute, awards and fellowships are not the same thing as like getting a trophy in Little League or on your swim team, although those things are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I got plenty of like middle school swimming trophies somewhere, probably my parents' basement. But awards and fellowships are really about giving you an opportunity to advance your research, your extracurriculars, your service projects. And the preparation that goes into them can often be really substantial. So my job here at High Point University is to advise students, to educate them on the process, to help them narrow down what awards might be suitable for them. And then often kind of coordinate all those moving parts so that you have a really competitive application at the end. If you give me a minute, I'd like to share my screen with you. I'm really good at it on Zoom. I'll see if I'm as good on WebEx. To just kind of walk you through some of the basics awards that I advise for, things that you could look at, whether you're a little bit on the older, more junior or senior level, or whether you're an underclassman. And then I'll be happy to open it up to Q&A or turn it over to my co-presenter today. Okay, bear with me 1 second. I'm going to try to figure this out. Aha. All right. If someone would give me a heads up or a verbal yes that they can see what I'm seeing here.
Yes.
All good.
Okay, yay. Oh, fantastic. Good. Thank you. Well, you just never know. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start with my name because my name is a giant pain. My full name is Dr. Jacqueline Arthur Montaigne. Everyone on campus, though, calls me Jam, and you can just send me an email that says Jam on it. Perfectly comfortable with that. But yeah, for the purposes of emailing, Arthur Montaigne, easy to track me down. Let me start with the basics on kind of what awards are, because I think especially at the first and second year level, a fair number of students they hear the word awards and fellowships, or sometimes like prestigious awards and fellowships, and they sort of think to themselves like, wait a minute, like I thought that was over. I thought, I did all that, climbing in high school to get the history award or to become the, salutatorian. But at the college level and graduate school level, awards and fellowships are really different, because it's not just about honoring the best. In fact, it's often not even about marking an honor at all. It's about opening doors and opportunities. So the sorts of awards and fellowships I advise for are not like trophies and blue ribbons, nor are they even silver medals. I kind of feel like, half of my advisees by the time they're done with the project or an application feel a little bit like our silver medalist Moroni here. But just to kind of dispel any notion that what I do is about adding lines to your resume, although many of the awards I do advise for are prestigious and they do make very nice lines on your resume, prestige is not the point. It's about getting to do something or getting access to resources that you didn't have before. And it's about really like helping you set up your career, your future, and your planning. Okay, so now that I've dispelled what awards are not, let me tell you a little bit about what awards, mostly the main categories they fall into. Let me preface this first by saying that there are awards for nearly everything out there, from marine biology to Middle East diplomacy to the creative and visual arts sector. And if there's something you're really niche interested in, I am always here to help you to find out about it. I myself learned from a student recently about a scholarship called the Agmon Scholars, which is summer research opportunities at STEM at the major Ivy League institutions. So there's many more than what I'm going to list here, but generally speaking, I think awards and fellowships fall into kind of a couple of key categories. So the first category is kind of what I would call access awards. These are, especially as you're advancing into sophomore, junior year and above, awards that give you access to money, to institutions, to scholars that are going to really help you advance a research agenda or a career opportunity. Things that fall into these sorts of awards are certainly like the Agmon Award. There's a Tylenol scholarship for health professionals. I'm trying to think of some other US ones here. Some of the like Princeton study abroad opportunities you can apply for as a senior. The Truman Scholarship, which is funding for graduate school in usually public service, government sector jobs. Access, money or connections, those sort of linking you to where you want to go and often giving you the funding to do so. Number two, cash, just pure cash for graduate study, individual projects, travel, language learning. I think of like Humanity in Action, which is an award all about public service and social reform. I think about the Gilman, which is for students on a Pell Grant who want to achieve a study abroad experience. I think of the CLS, language learning funding to go learn a critical language. So for a lot of these awards, like I said, you don't get a trophy. You just get funding to go pursue an interest you might have. Lastly, there's a lot of awards that fall into the experience category. I would say these tend to be more focused on research, although there's a handful of entrepreneurship, communications, marketing awards. Those ones I'm not as familiar with, but I definitely know they're out there. And these are opportunities to get your feet wet in your field and develop a professional network, sometimes travel experience outside of your little home bubble institution. One of the big lessons I think we all learn after graduating from undergraduate is that getting a college degree is sort of like the foundation of a new building that you're putting up, but that you can't assume that foundation is the entirety of the building. And sometimes building a network outside of High Point walls can be just as valuable as all the connections and relationships that you have here. If anyone can't hear me or I'm not being clear, please just feel free to interrupt me. You're not being rude. I can talk a mile a minute, so just hit pause button on me. I certainly don't have time and would bore all of you to tears if I talked about every single award out there. So I wanted to take a couple minutes and give you a couple cross sections of awards. I would say the main ones that I've been advising for the past year and a half. And I will say these awards are more in the junior senior class category. But at the end, I will also touch on a few that freshmen and sophomores can apply for as well. And introducing these awards, I think what I want to try to show you is how each of them is trying to connect what you've done at the college level to where you're going in your career and professional development, and also give you a little bit of an under the hood look at who's funding these programs and what does that mean about the kind of candidates that they're looking for. So if without further ado, and I will trust anyone to interrupt me if I'm going too fast or being unclear, I will just press on ahead. I think we're going to start with Bourne and then Truman and then Fulbright, but I might have got that order wrong. So let's see. Okay, so far so good. Bourne. The Bourne Award is an award that you can only apply for while you are enrolled in college, either as an undergraduate or as a graduate student. The Bourne Award is primarily about giving American students access to two things: international experience, especially in countries that Americans don't tend to travel to for tourist reasons, and second of all, perhaps most importantly, language skills. If there is a rare language that is not offered here at High Point University, or even maybe not that rare, but not that commonly spoken, Chinese, Russian, Ukrainian, Malaysian, the Bourne Awards are the sort of program that might take you to some of the furthest reaches of the world and really give you 6 to 9 months to immerse yourself in that culture. The Bourne Award is a long-term award. It's not something you could do over a summer, but it's also a very kind of choose your own adventure, design your own adventure award. And it can be starting a language for the first time. Last semester, I had 2 young men apply who wanted to study Kazakh, the language spoken in Kazakhstan and some parts of Mongolia. It's really an opportunity to take specialized languages or internship experiences that would be a good fit for you. The Bourne Award tends to be good for students who are interested in a public service sector job because 1 year of federal work is required afterwards. If you're interested in CIA, law enforcement, NSA, international diplomacy, international engineering, I think that's a particularly good fit for you. Okay, the Truman Scholarship. Those of you who are poli-sci majors interested in working in government, politics, again, diplomacy, federal work, nonprofit work, the Truman might be a really good fit for you. Truman is essentially funding for graduate school, law school. I've currently got 2 Truman applicants at the moment. And these are merit-based scholarships. So $30,000 after you graduate. But more important even than the money is the opportunity to connect with other professionals in your field. The Truman Scholars come together for summer institutes to network, gather, to sort of share information about their careers and opportunities. And I will say it's quite competitive, but it's a real door opener for a student who wants to work in the public sector or in politics. You don't have to be like national politics. Last year, I had an applicant who just wanted to work on the state level local government. It really is a pipeline for America's future leaders in the realm of politics and nonprofit. For this one, by the way, you have to be a junior to apply. Oh, sorry, guys. For some reason, I'm not able to advance. Let me see if I can unshare. Let me pause here for just a second and ask any, are there any questions at the moment? All right. Okay. I guess not. We'll press on. There we go. Okay. Fulbright. This is the one that I get asked about more than any other award, and it's by far the one that I advise more applicants than any other for. The Fulbright Award it's often described as like 800 awards under one umbrella. The Fulbright is funded by the State Department, and its core goal is to build international connections between Americans and people all over the world. The Fulbright is an opportunity to spend between 1 and 3 years in another country. I think there's only a handful of countries you can't go to. Usually Iran and Iraq are high on that list. It's an opportunity to teach English. You can go get a fully funded graduate degree, or you complete an independent research project under the advisement of an international university or an international scholar. The nice thing about the Fulbright is, unlike many of the other awards, they're not necessarily looking for any one specific type of student. Like Truman is kind of looking for poli-sci, international relations, nonprofit students. Bourne is looking for language learners. But Fulbright is super open-minded, and they are recruiting students from every major, every field, every discipline. This year we had 4 Fulbright applicants, 2 pursuing graduate training in the UK in psychology, of all things. So I'm really proud of them. Those are competitive countries to go to. Yeah, the Fulbright website is a bit of a mirage because it's like, it's like 100 odd different countries to investigate. But if you're interested in Fulbright, there's a Fulbright out there that will fit you. For those of you guys who are on the underclassmen side, I'm not going to go into as much detail on these, but I don't want to give you the impression that I don't want to give you the impression that you can only start applying for things when you're a junior or a senior. Some of the things that are available to you as an undergrad, my science students, the Barry Goldwater, that's an award for students who want to go into scientific STEM research, specifically PhD level, but that's grants for undergraduate research now. Dr. Augustine in the chemistry department advises for a lot of those. The Gilman Award, I think I mentioned this one. It's funding for students on Pell Grants for any study abroad program of any length. So if you're a Pell Grant recipient and know you want to travel abroad post-COVID craziness, that would be a good award for you. CBYX, internship experience in Germany. You don't even have to know German. We actually have a CBYX winner here on campus right now. Unfortunately, her program got canceled due to COVID, but she's reapplying. Humanity in Action. If you are a progressive activist, you want to make a big change in your community, you go to any one of their 8 institutes over a semester and learn the sort of tools of social activism, and then be able to hit the ground running to launch your project when you get home. And then lastly, competitive but really cool is the Fulbright Summer UK Institute. You can only be a freshman or a sophomore when you apply. Any older than that, it's cut off to you. But it is a 3 to 4 week experience in the UK, Scotland, or Ireland in a thematic program of your choice. You apply to the sort of you that you're most interested in and get to come together with other really high achieving, like-minded students who are interested in studying your field in a collaborative US-UK environment. Awesome. Okay, yeah, sorry, I don't know what it is about these crazy slides that are pausing me from moving forward, but let me try one more time. Sorry guys, bear with me. All right. Yeah. I don't know, I'm sure it's on my end. Here we go. Okay, yeah, pressing on beyond Gilman. I'm gonna kind of wrap up by trying to give you a sense of what it is like to work with me on a scholarship. I often say to my advisees that it's your journey and I'm here for you as much or as little as you want or need me. One of the things I can do is just kind of take a look at your major, your profile, and write up a specific guide of the sorts of awards I think could be interesting or appealing to you. I also ask you to do a lot of soul searching, like what are your experiences, your leadership opportunities, your interests. Awards are not just looking for like A+ perfect students. They want people with a story who know how to tell that story. So we spend the students who worked with me, like Aaliyah, they really know we spend a lot of time kind of going deep. The whole point of an award is to apply and be able to tell your narrative in a way that only you could. If your application looks just like somebody else in your department or your major, then you've kind of missed the boat on that. I help students map out application deadlines. A lot of these awards are multi-layered, have kind of multi-tiered application processes, sometimes with interviews or faculty committee meetings. And so I help you navigate that. And then depending on how much time you want to put in, I can spend anywhere from 4 weeks to 6 months with you going over drafts of essays and just working up your materials. I'm going to close by saying that there is almost certainly an award for you out there, depending on what you're interested in and how open-minded you are to seeing the world or learning from new experiences. You can always email me at jarthurm, or you can also just pick an appointment time at Dr. Jam. You can book me / that's an easy way. You can just kind of pick an appointment time and meet with me remotely pretty much from now until the end of time. So. All right, I'm going to unshare us here, and I'll let the moderators tell me if they want to just kind of turn over to other scholarships or take some questions.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from any of our participants today? I know the 3 first scholarships that you talked about. How competitive would you say the majority of them are?
Yeah, it really runs the gamut. I would say, for example, the Truman is quite competitive. Usually they only take 1 person per state. And that Truman Scholarship, again, is like $30,000 for law school, graduate school. So you're really competing with like every other interested applicant from Duke, from Wake Forest, from Elon, and any of our peer institutions. The Fulbright, on the other hand, while some countries are incredibly competitive, like UK, Spain, Italy, other countries that only get like 5 or 10 applicants a year for a couple of awards. I mean, there's some countries where you have an almost 50 to 70% shot of getting it if you put in an application. So it's competitive, and I really try to be upfront with students about the odds, and also telling students to decide how much time you want to put in, because, you know, if you're applying for an award where only 1 out of 700 students are going to get it, then you kind of want to get a moderate view on how much of your soul to put into the process.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions for Dr. Jan? Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. I'll put my email and my link in the chat, and then if anyone wants to track me down privately, they're most welcome to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And now I'll pass it on to Giselle to talk a little bit about our Alpha Lambda Delta specific scholarships. And just a reminder, in the chat there is an attendance link. So for those of you participating and wanting credit for this event, feel free to open that link and put in your information.
Now, okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. I'm the queen of talking when I am muted, so I need to make sure that I do it right. Dr. Jam, thank you so much for your information. It's great to see you virtually. So I know we talked a little bit in the past over email, and it's just been insane in our office, but
likewise.
I'm sure it's been a semester, and I'm kind of happy that we're winding down and we're reaching the final weeks. So, but with that, we wanted to do a scholarship session because I know for us, for ALD, we'll go on break and we come back and it's scholarship season on our end, or on my front, I guess, because I handle most of it. So I would love to team up with you at some point. Just because we have, and I'm actually going to talk about the 3 scholarships that we have. And for one of them, I am teaming up with the Global Ed Office. And so that's going to help me a lot in also just kind of making it like a team effort in our university. So, but just to start, we have 3 great scholarships, and Hyper University, our chapter, has been very, very blessed to be able to receive nominations and winners every year for the past, I don't know how many years. And I don't give myself credit because it's my students, but there is a selection process. So the 3 scholarships that we have, the first one is called TRO Undergrad, and that's available to all my sophomores. So everybody that was inducted this year, you guys are eligible to apply. And so that's the first one. The second one, and I'll go into detail for all of them, and I don't have a fancy PowerPoint or anything, so you guys are gonna have to pay attention because there's a big email that goes out when the scholarships go live. And the second one is Stamler Study Abroad, and that one is open to anybody, including my seniors who, you know, they're thinking, you know, I know it's very rare, but I've had seniors that go abroad when they graduate. I don't know how they work that out, but anyway, but it's open to anyone. They have to be an ALD member, of course. And then the third one, we have a graduate fellowship, and that one is for my graduate students and or my seniors that are going to be going to graduate school. This past semester, or this past year, we had 2 of our members get selected, and I think they each got about, one was $5,000 and then the other one $6,500. I know the amounts were pretty big. And so I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna go through each and one of them. So for TRO, that one is for all my sophomores, and you do have to have a 3.5 or above. You do need 2 letters of recommendations and official transcripts. There is a formal application that goes to me. So I open it up to everybody, but I can only select 2 names to go to nationals, because from there you go and you're in competition with students from all around the United States, pretty much. And I have no say on that part. Once it goes to nationals, they choose. For that one, the amounts range from $1,000 to $6,000. And last year was Josiah Williams. He was one of my winners. Aaliyah was also one of my selected students that was sent over. However, Aaliyah was not chosen. And like I said, I wish I could be in that committee, but I can only control the people that send me the applications. I do the selection, and then they go over. Josiah, feel free, if you're here, feel free to jump in. How much was your scholarship award? I don't know if he's on the session. I don't think he is, but he was one of my winners last year. For Stamler this year, for study abroad, we got multiple people that won, but because of Rona, people had to accept and decline. And Chloe was one of my winners at one point, and Tony Quagliata was one of my winners. And so the good thing is that when you apply for the scholarship, you have about a year to use it. And this also applies to either going abroad or doing a semester. And the range is anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 on the award. You also need a 3.5 or above to apply, transcripts, letter of recommendations, and all that. For both these scholarships, the application will be available in November. Nationals will be posting it. They haven't posted it yet. They typically let me know, and I'm thinking it's going to be right after Thanksgiving. And I don't announce it until we come back from the holidays, because you guys go on the holidays, you're busy, and so I don't want to overwhelm people. But as soon as we get back, that's when we're in full throttle, and it's go time. The one big thing that I see with a lot of my students, and Dr. Jam, you touched on this. I tell my students to go ahead and show me what you've done. So don't just tell me. Don't tell me that you're A, B, C, D, and E. I already know. We know that you're the top of the chain. You're kind of like you're my overachievers. You guys have the GPA. You guys are my my leaders on campus. Don't just tell me that. Show me. And so when I pick my winners or my people that are selected, we work on that application. I try to refine your essay. I try to refine, your resume, because there's so many documents that have to be submitted. But I work a lot on making sure that you share your story, that you tell me how what you're doing on campus and on the community is shaping you to be a better human being, and it's shaping you to be a leader in the future. And so I think that's the number one thing that for my students, that when they apply to me first, I get stellar applications, but then they fall flat because they're just telling me, they're not showing me. And then the other thing too, for you guys, for TRO and for Stamler, is that involvement in ALD is going to be key. And it's not, I don't need you to be an officer. I don't need you to be at the top of the food chain again. Is tell me, are you involved? Are you attending? How, tell me something that was poignant that, is very helpful for you from ALD. National office, because they're the ones giving you the money. They want to see how you're taking advantage of ALD in your life, whether it's, you're coming to our activities or you're going to anywhere, that national is hosting. And so they really like to see what the students are doing with their time in school, not only in academics, but like extracurriculars. And then same thing for graduate fellowships. They're going to ask you, okay, you had 4 years of undergrad, and now you're going to go to graduate school. How are you going to apply what you've learned the last 4 years? And how are you going to make an impact with, your talents, your gifts, with everything that you've learned? How are you, what is it that you're trying to do with your life? And how is this going to better you as a professional, as an individual? There's so many layers, but again, you have to show and not tell. And so for this one, for the graduate fellowship as well, you need a 3.5 or above, letters of recommendations. However, this one does not go to me. That one goes straight to nationals. So that one is a little bit different. So nationals they just kind of let me know these are all the people that applied, and that's it. I have nothing else to say. I just say thumbs up, good luck. And then I don't find out until I get a letter or a press release that they send me first. So anyhow, so those are the three that we have. Everyone, with Tro, all my sophomores are invited to apply, and I definitely want you guys to apply because I know we have a lot of talent on our campus, and a lot of you are multiple campus leaders. A lot of you are doing wonderful things. And so it's just really good to be able to showcase what we can do at Hyper University, but then even you guys, because this is about you guys. And then same thing for Stamler. It's a great way for you guys, if you're thinking that you want to study abroad, there is money. I know, like, that's one of the questions that a lot of my students, when I meet with my advisees, and they tell me that they want to study abroad, I'm always like, go. I really think that everybody needs to have an international perspective experience of some kind. And it's just great to travel, period. I love traveling. But there are scholarships for you guys to apply. Now, for each of those, 2 people get selected from each chapter. I think last year they were talking about maybe expanding the numbers and maybe doing 3 per chapter, but nothing has been said for sure. So as of right now, I'm sticking to what I know, and it's 2 per chapter, 2 awards for each scholarship per chapter. So I can only submit 2 names. And then you can win, if I submit 2, I can get the 2, or I can get 1, or I can get none. So I like to get both of them that I submit. So it is a little competitive within our chapter. It gets a little bit more competitive when it goes to the national office, because at that point you guys are competing with multiple universities. And Dr. Jam, I'm sure you can, attest to this with all the other awards. We feel like we got, the bomb.com, but we're also thinking, okay, you also think, comparing, yourself to other people from other universities, and we don't know what they're doing and how they're going to show off. So that's all I have for my end. In terms of when are you going to find out when applications are open, I send an email January. So as soon as you guys will go on break, and as soon as you guys come back, it'll be scholarship time. And there is, when I send the email, I send as well, there's a practice application that I send out as well. And that's the one that you guys turn into me. When I select my finalist for my chapters, then I give you the official application. Now, I know in the past some people bypassed me and they sent it straight to nationals. You can do that. Just know that it'll go back to me. It gets rerouted back to me. They don't accept anything until I give the official award. And so if you guys that are here applied in the past and you applied straight to nationals, just know that it was rerouted back to me, and they sent me all the information, everything. So I like to do a preliminary application, which is pretty much the same as the official, but it comes to me, and then from there, we meet multiple times. We work on the essay, we work on how to fix it, how to show, how to make sure that we answer all the questions exactly how they want them. And there is a point system as well. I forgot to say that. In the application, every question has a point system. And some questions are weighted way more than others. And so that's another thing that I noticed last year with some of my students that applied. The question that weighted the most, sometimes that's where it hurt you guys, because I will get like the shortest answer, or I will get, not enough information. And so pay attention to the point system, because they're pretty much kind of giving you the answer. They're telling you, okay, this question is worth 10 points. This question is going to be worth 15 points. This question is worth 20. So if they're telling you that it's worth 20, that's where you want to like throw in all your chips. Like that's where you want to go all in. And so it'll be the same this year. Just make sure you guys pay attention to the point system, and think about what, if this question is worth a lot more, what else can I show? What else can I tell? How can I write this part of the essay correctly? So, alrighty. With that, I think I have said everything I have. If you guys have any questions, please either write them on the chat or feel free to jump in. I know for my sophomores, this is all new, but I know for my upperclassmen, my juniors, and my seniors, you guys have seen this in the past, and many of you have applied. So for my seniors that are going to be graduating, and if you're considering to go to graduate school, it doesn't matter what kind of graduate school, please, please, please apply. And it doesn't even come to me; it goes straight to nationals. So definitely do think on applying.
I have a question.
Yes.
For the TRO scholarship, is that strictly for sophomores, or can juniors also apply? I didn't really see anywhere on the website where it said like juniors can apply. It just gives a date of as long as you did before this date or this date and after you can. So does that mean if you apply, like you were inducted the year before, you can also apply for this, or strictly for sophomores?
Right. So there's the word, I guess that's the technicality. As long as you were inducted, they give you a time frame that you have to be inducted between this time and that time. So if you fall in that category, I say why not? Now, typically in the past, if you were inducted between this time and that time, that meant my sophomores. So for us, it was anybody that just came in that was inducted this year. Or like last year, it was, I think, let me pull up the website. Jordan, do you have it there in front of you?
No, but I can get on it real quick.
So
I know they haven't updated the information yet for this year's round.
Right. So everything is still from last year. So last year it was people that were initiated or inducted into ALD in January and December 31st of 2019. And so that timeline meant that it was my sophomores. Now this year they might change something. It may be updated. But that's typically how I do my timeline. Okay, so if this year, whenever they update it, if they say only students initiated from January 1st and December 31st we're in 2020, that would be my sophomores this year.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Put the link in the chat for our National ALD website with more scholarship information and just elaborating on what Giselle has just. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, and if you visit the website, it even gives you like the point system. Every section, how much it is, and there's also if you guys go to the bottom of the page, they are the external scholarships as well. That they have a few links that they trust, or that they, that they don't endorse, but that they approve per se. So there's more in there. I can speak to those because I don't know much about them, but ALD it's a pretty big national organization, and we have members all across the United States, and they don't put out stuff just to put out stuff. They want to make sure that the information that they share with their members is true, accurate, and that it's not going to be spam or any of that. Like we strive very hard to make sure that the programs that we sign up for are going to be beneficial to our students.
Chloe, do you mind if I just offer, and first of all, thank you so much, Giselle. This was incredibly helpful as well. I think we both know different pieces of the awards world, and like to hear them come together is great. Chloe, do you mind if I just offer a couple of little insights for students who might think they want to apply for an award in the future, but kind of aren't sure yet, like just some general pieces of advice on what a lot of these awards are looking for in common?
Yeah, of course. I think it would be really beneficial.
Yeah. So as I said at the top, like every award is different, right? The TRO scholarship is going to have different criteria from like the Gilman is going to have different criteria from the CLS. But broadly speaking, I think the most awards are and fellowships are looking for evidence of three core things. And before I share them, I want to encourage you guys to start thinking of yourselves a little bit as like, sorry if this is crass, but investments. A lot of these awards are about money. You're essentially asking someone to give you money to do something. And so the people who are reading your applications, they have to decide if they're going to invest their money in you or in somebody else. And you've really got to make them confident that by putting whether $300 or $30,000 in your investment tank, like it's secure money, it's money well spent. So first off, I would say that one of the number one things most awards are looking for are some evidence of undergraduate research experience or, and a big or, internship / work experience in your field. One of the major differences between undergraduate study and graduate study that a lot of students don't grasp is that undergraduate study is in the main about sort of swallowing the core introductory concepts of your field that you're going to need. And a lot of it is kind of passive learning, right? You're reading, you're listening to lectures, you're writing papers, you're taking tests. But graduate study is a whole different ball field. It's about you becoming a producer of new research and new knowledge for the world. And many graduate programs and graduate grant agencies are skeptical that undergraduate students really understand that difference. And so the more they can see evidence that you have exposed yourself to research opportunities or, again, work opportunities in your field, that you know what the field is outside the classroom, that's a really, really good sign to them that you're a good investment. If you are not all, I know many of you guys, this crowd tends to like research, but if you're not a research person, that's okay too. My CBYX winner, she talked about her experience working for literally a parks and recreation department and like how that helped her think about event planning and hospitality and the service industry. So it doesn't have to be a big, glamorous, glitzy job, but just be able to talk about what is that experience that shows you know what this world you think you want to be a part of is beyond the classroom. So I would say that's one, either research or work experience in your field. Two, having a sense of a vision about your future. Many students can write brilliantly about their past, courses they've taken, opportunities they've had, experiences. But then when it comes to the like, okay, but what are you going to do from here on out? They tend to fall short or a little fuzzy, or sometimes have dreams that are so big, they're a little hard to pin down. And most awards agencies, they do want to know what your long-term plan is. Like, yes, I want to be a neuroscientist, or I want to head up a leading nonprofit organization in air cleanliness, whatever it is. But they also want to know, like, kind of what is your 5-year plan after graduation? Does that mean more graduate study? Are there more degrees? Are you going to be able to work your way up? And I really work a lot with students on how to articulate that plan. Because again, think of yourself as an investment. If they're putting $3,000, $30,000 in your tank, they kind of want to know, like, where you're going to go from here. The last thing, and then I promise I'll hush, is evidence of leadership in action. Whenever I say the word leadership, a lot of students think like, oh my gosh, I got to run for SGA, or I have to be president of this club or organization. All of that is great, but I just got off like a 1-hour Truman tutorial, which is an award that is all about leadership and public service. And what they specifically said is, we don't just want applicants who like were chosen as the president of their organization. We want students who can show real evidence of having done something with their leadership, having actually created a new initiative, or come into a club when it was kind of down on its luck and were able to turn it around or build. And it's not just enough these days to sort of say, I was elected the treasurer secretary. That's great. If you are a treasurer secretary or something, that's awesome. But they really want to see that you can explain what you did with that leadership opportunity that you had, and be able to quantify your results. So yeah, just to summarize, undergraduate work experience, a clear vision of your future, or at least some sense of where you're going with this, and evidence of leadership in action.
And Dr. Jam, I'm going to add into that as well. I love that you talked about work experience, because some of my past winners, and I'm not only talking about this year, maybe in the past, I had people that won scholarships that necessarily did not have leadership positions within the university or clubs or whatever, but they were working in things in their field or outside, and they talked about how that position made them grow as a person, professionally, what skills they were gaining. And perhaps they weren't, they couldn't, because they were working, they couldn't do stuff on campus, but it was still valid information. It was still helpful. So again, it's that showing, tell me. I know when I worked with Tony in the past and he won my study abroad, I kept pulling teeth. I was like, show me, don't tell me, show me. How is this? And he kept telling me, okay, what else can I show you? And I'm like, just paint the picture, and so just kind of, it's a narrative. So, when I work with the students, I'm like, show me, don't just tell me what you did. Don't tell me that you were a tutor for math and, okay, what did you do when you were tutoring? How did this make you feel? Why are you going to, I don't know, France or Italy? What is it about you going abroad that it's calling your name? Is it because, if I'm going to Italy, is it because I want to touch with my roots? Like, I mean, I have Italian descendants, maybe I want to go see where my great grandfather was from, so it's, you gotta, you're playing the investment game, but you're also playing the emotional, like, you're pulling the heartstrings at the same time. So I like that. Thank you, Dr. Jam.
No, I really want to second that. If there's any student in this group who's feeling insecure that maybe they didn't have the opportunities to like run for some big fancy, maybe they didn't go to high school that had a lot of extracurricular, maybe you have to work every summer to make ends meet. I would say these days in the awards world, there's actually more interest than ever in students who come from backgrounds and work experiences and communities that we might not think of as traditional prestigious awards. These days, there is no such thing as traditional prestigious awards, right? They want different stories. They want diversity. They want you to be able to distill the experiences that you have had. And exactly right. I mean, to be able to tell your story in a way that really draws people in and makes them think of you and your future and want to get on board with that vision. That's exactly right.
Thank you both so much. Do you have any other questions? If not, thank you so much, Dr. Jam. We really appreciate your time today and really touching on a lot of really key aspects of scholarships. Thank you all. Again, if you haven't already put your participation down in the Google form in the chat, please do so to get credit for this meeting. If not, please enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And yeah.